All right, what up? Long time no speak. Welcome back.
Welcome.
This is the Next Man Up Sports Podcast. How was your dinner, man?
It was good.
Yeah, mine too. Had some pizza. You know what I put on it though?
Mayonnaise.
No, who puts mayonnaise on
Fucking no,
pizza?
you're weird. Shit. I don't know, you're weird, man.
I did put some hot sauce on it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, hot sauce is becoming like you put hot sauce on anything. Apparently,
Got motherfuckers living. I'm already messing up my own count. 30-22.
yeah. So apparently, it's the greatest condiment for condoms.
I see what you did there.
Like I did that. Shout out to Drake, man.
He living in 30-22, man.
Yeah, no,
He's so far ahead of the game right now.
no. Here in America, us black people, we put hot sauce in everything. I don't know what they doing in Canada, bro.
It's that shit you learn when you got universal health care, man.
Hey,
You learn different tricks. Yeah.
no, seriously, yeah. I'm married. I'm spoken for, so it used me. But for all you young people out there, all you new money, rich young dudes out there, hey, get on that with Frank's.
Bruh, dead ass.
I wonder what brand he used.
Bruh, dead ass. I put a bottle of Frank's
Frank's.
on my bedside table.
There you go.
Just in case.
At Louisiana. Well, no, he's down with young, but he might have used that Louisiana.
I might need to. Hey, speaking of which, I was just talking about the Hot Wings show, Hot Wings show, whatever. I need to just order some of that.
There you
like
go.
the one that's like the bomb. It's always like the 9th or 10th hottest one. Like, get that. That's killing the hell of a lot more than.
There you go.
Man,
But
she'd never have to probably get waxed again.
and she got the
It'll just be
audacity to
scorched earth.
sue. How is this possible?
She ain't gonna do that.
Yeah.
You threatened. It was threatening to sue because you're an idiot if you take.
Yeah.
If you're a lawyer that takes it to court, it's like, by what grounds? You were trying to intentionally, against somebody's will, basically trap them for life.
Yeah.
Knowing what this person's income is. Like, what's your argument gonna be?
If I'm the if I'm the judge that hears that case, though,
I'm putting your ass in jail.
I am laughing.
I'm gonna laugh and then I'm gonna sentence you. I'm gonna sentence you to like 30 days in jail for contempt of court for wasting my fucking time.
I'm just gonna hit you with the Jay-Z like, no.
But it's real though, man. I couldn't believe that when I saw it. I'm like, bro, what is going on?
That has to be the news of the year. That'll probably be the news story.
Oh yeah, I was already saying it. And I'm like, yo, Drake won 2022. A week into win. Like, it's already his year. You cannot top that. I don't care what you do unless Elon Musk or whatever figures out how to actually get us to Mars this year. You can't top it because you think it's so far ahead of the game. Like, and that's why he's
right.
He learned from when he got that other little boy that he didn't want to talk about. He didn't want to give Pusha T no more ammunition, man. he didn't want to get them hands again, so he was like, nah, bro.
Pusha T can't say nothing now.
Pusha
T probably taking note. Hot sauce in.
It's like, damn, that's like a 2-for-1. It's like a 2-for-1 right there. Because not only does it act apparently as a spermicide, but on top of that, if you have a girl, as he did, dumb enough to try it, then you got just
entertainment for the night.
In the voice of Dave Chappelle, you got jokes and jokes and jokes and.
And the best part is he checked on it like, yo, what's up? You okay? What's the matter?
Like, can you imagine that nigga's grin, bro? Like, we all know Drake's face. Like, he's sitting outside that door, just grinning. Before he's like, "You all right in there?
Hey, you in there? I love me.
You need it? You need anything? You need some milk?" Oh man!
But anywho,
welcome back, people.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Next Man on Sports Pod. A little bit of a break. Some life changing situations, new gig, new schedule.
Yeah.
So we had to figure all that out. Plus, we had the holidays. Holiday season is a huge. It is, especially for me.
Yeah.
I got 2 birthdays and Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
2 birthdays and Christmas for three kids. 2.5 kids. One's grown. So still hook them up with something.
But still, yeah, it's a busy time.
Wife's birthday is on the 7th. Youngest, Square Junior, the third is on the 5th, and then Christmas for the daughter and the son, and the wife. Needless to say, can I get a loan from somebody?
Bruh, I'm saying, like, please. And $1,200 checks that we took for granted, I'm like, for real, can we get one more of those? I feel like a crackhead. I'm like, oh, hey, baby. And I'm hearing that like our taxes might get delayed this year. And I'm like, bro, y'all, I know that you can't do this. You can't do this. Because you thought that what happened last year when people was rioting at the Capitol, like you telling people that, we ain't got no money for you. Where's the money at, man? What you mean? What you mean? I pay you my tax. I expect something back. Where's my money at, bro?
My money, man.
Oh. So, yeah, it was a rough one. Sorry we missed y'all. Trust me, we missed y'all a lot. We was always talking, trying to find any opportunity we could to come back and record a show for y'all.
Yeah, but this felt right.
Yeah, we've always been the type. Regardless of anything else, we want to be proud of our product. And if we rushing it, if we feel like it's not, up to the quality and the standard that we hope that we can set forward, we weren't going to do it. So it took a bit longer than either one of us wanted, but we wanted to make sure we were in a good spot to do it.
And sometimes you just have to let life happen.
Yeah, the timing worked out because now we got so much shit to talk about.
Playoffs.
We got playoffs. NFL. We got head coaching vacancies all around the NFL as well. We got the NBA's finally in the part of the season that people start to give a shit about, in my opinion, after the halfway point. Yeah. I always hate that they say the halfway point is the All-Star break because mathematically it's not even close. Yeah.
It's just once upon a time it used to be, and it just
it's like it's 82
it's
games.
It's around there.
Yeah, now we got teams up around the 40, 45, 50 game mark as far as games played. We're getting to really see where these teams are shaking out to be, so we got a lot to talk about with that.
A lot of surprise teams.
We got the drama, that's happening across sports. Like, and we got the Novak Djokovic situation that's going on right now. It's turning into an international incident.
Tennis players,
man. For those that don't know, we'll talk about it in a little bit, real briefly.
Who said tennis players can do what they wanted to?
Right. I mean, he's the number one tennis player in the world, arguably one of the greatest of all time. There's no denying his prowess, but man, this dude I'm working on my cuss. He's a fucking idiot. And so we'll talk about that, but it's like he's a Serbian national being held, in detention / quarantine, and in Australia, then they let him out, then they coming back, and they're like, yo, you got to get your ass back in jail.
Yeah.
Or not jail, because he's not. It's a whole bunch. It's a mess.
Take a time out.
It's a mess. So yeah, we'll go and talk about that a little bit. And Ben Simmons still hasn't been moved, and Deshaun Watson still hasn't been moved. And
but guess who's back?
Lance Stevenson. Lance Stevenson is back, firing them things,
getting buckets,
blowing in people's ears,
and Kyrie Irving too.
Kyrie Irving, kind of part time. Occasionally, Kyrie Irving's back. We got stuff to talk about that. To speak on that as well. We can go through the Pro Bowl and the NFL. Who you think deserved it, who didn't. There's so much content, people. That's what we're saying. So buckle up. I hope that y'all are, depending on when you listening to this, whether you're eating breakfast, eating lunch, dinner, if you're just relaxing, buckle in,
grab your hot sauce.
Yeah, get your hot sauce. Get your snacks. Get your food. We're gonna be here for a minute. It's gonna be a good one though. We're gonna have some fun. And kick it off, man. Where you want to go? Where you want to start?
Let's stay on the yoga thing, because I got a question. Like, where on the totem pole of athletics, where do tennis players fall?
I mean, that depends on what metric are you going by? Are you talking about pure athleticism?
No, just overall, like in life, there are people who can do certain things, and there are people who can't. Mm-hmm. Sean Carter, otherwise known to the masses as Jay-Z, can walk into any restaurant in America and probably outside of America, and have a seat. I cannot. Okay. My restaurant selection is limited on where I can just walk in and expect to be seated, not because of finances, just because of availability and status. So yeah, where do tennis players fall in the higher like? Because bro, who told you you could do what you want to do?
I would say as you know, I'm an avid tennis fan. Actually, like I love tennis. It's one of my favorite sports to watch. Outside of the U.S., yeah, they have that effect. Especially guys like Roger Federer. He can go anywhere in the world. That's why he's always in the top three every year for highest paid athletes because of his endorsements.
Yeah,
Because again, he's one of the most popular faces that you'll see if you go to Europe. Same
he's
with
also
Rafa
like
Nadal.
grandfathered into a lot of stuff because he's old.
Yeah, I mean he's been around, and it's you got Serena,
Yeah.
so it's you kind of pick and choose. Tennis is definitely one of those sports outside of like a Serena Williams, Venus Williams,
Right.
Sloane Stephens, like that are trying to make their name now. Naomi Osaka, even though I know that she's Japanese and American, and I don't really know what I know. I think for the Olympics she was gonna go. I don't know.
He's
Anyway,
played for America.
but yeah, so
Yeah.
Naomi Osaka. So you have these talents that they could have that pull. Is it as frequent, or would we recognize it as much in America? Probably not, because we don't.
Right.
As much as we follow tennis, like obviously because the Williams sisters got everybody into it, but we don't really like follow tennis like it is around the world. To where like again, this is why it's such a big deal in Australia, is because Novak Djokovic in Australia is king. Like he's literally holds the record for most Australian Open wins. It's his favorite place to play. Of his 20 Grand Slam major titles, 9 of
Right.
them are at the Australian Open, and he's defending it this year. He won it last year. Like that's his place. Just like
I
Rafa
feel
Nadal's
like
is the French Open. So
if he calls for a reservation at that restaurant in that country, and then 10 minutes later, Michael Jordan calls, Michael Jordan's getting that table.
well, I mean that's Jordan anywhere. I mean,
But that's what I'm
low
saying.
key,
Like on the
I feel like
pantheon.
I feel like even name recognition wise, like Jeff Bezos might get fucking pushed for Michael Jordan, because like, somebody might walk
Right.
over to Jeff Bezos, sir, we need this table. Michael Jordan's here. He's like, I'm Jeff Bezos, sir. Michael Jordan,
Right.
we don't know who Michael Jordan is here, sir. Please, well, you're making this an incident, sir. Security.
So I feel like
Security,
tennis
sir.
players
We're
are
gonna need
like maybe not low. They're below the midline. I would feel. I would feel the top of the food chain is basketball players. I would feel second is soccer players on a global.
I definitely feel like that's a very, and no offense, like that's a very Americanized way of looking at it, because it's not the reality of it. And that again, soccer is the most watched sport worldwide. So soccer players are number one as far as recognition, influence. Can they walk into a place and get a table? Yes, like hands down, anywhere outside of America, and you're talking like every other country in the world, these people are kings or queens, gods, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just that soccer's not as big in the U.S. to where we're not familiar with those names, whereas we see Steph Curry, LeBron James. Now I'm using those names specifically because they have the international appeal.
Right.
LeBron obviously, is the face of the league, has been for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Inherited a lot from Kobe in that regard in a positive way. And then Steph Curry has a huge backing in China, not just because of who he is and his shoe design and everything else, but also because of the connection between Golden State, the San Francisco area.
Right,
and
the Asian
China.
community.
Exactly. So, other than those guys, like a lot of like James Harden isn't going anywhere in Europe and just automatically getting a table. Like people are not going to be rolling over for him. Like, whereas Cristiano Ronaldo walks in that same restaurant, they walk at the same time. They're probably going to kick James Harden out thinking he's a homeless person. Be like, please, sir, get to the side. Cristiano's here. Like,
see, I don't feel that way. And here's what I'm gonna use as a base. 1992 Olympics.
you still got Michael Jordan though.
No, but the most popular athletes there were the dream. Not just Michael Jordan. It was the dream team. Period. Like 1 through 12, they were the 12 most popular dudes there. I'm talking about Barkley, Stockton. Mm-hmm. Like basketball players are like, no, and now the game is bigger now than it was back then. Like basketball players are known, and their faces are every. That's why I put soccer number 2, because soccer is one of the only other sports is where like your face is actually seen.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would put football players probably like 4th or 5th. I would put baseball players above again because your face is seen. Football outside of your quarterback, maybe whoever the best defensive player is on the team, like everybody knows Von Miller. What he looks like is goofy glasses. Dude's got to get a new prescription. But not a lot of people actually know what TJ Watt looks like. They know he's a beast, but they don't know what he looks like.
JJ looks like.
Right. TJ, they don't really know what he looks like.
Shout out TJ Watt.
You know, football players there
tying the NFL sack record.
Absolutely.
But keep going.
Yeah, they're at a disadvantage. But basketball, you got guys on the cover of video game. Dirk was on the cover of video game. Luka's on the cover of video games. Giannis is on the cover of it. Like basketball player, and they're still. Everybody wants to be a baller, man.
I mean, again, it's. I wouldn't argue too hard that it's not close. Like I would definitely say that basketball has caught up to that global influence.
Here's where I would agree.
But soccer is still ahead.
Here's what I would agree with. I'll modify it a little bit. I would say the top of the top.
What do you mean?
The top of the top, I would give you your claim. I would give that the nod. The top of the top. But I would think mid-level NBA players are more well-known than mid-level soccer players.
You got that backwards. And this is how I'll prove it to you that you're not right. The top of the top basketball players, yes, like we were talking about the LeBrons, the Steph Currys, the Kobe's while he was still alive. Like, yes, those top of the top are going to be known and recognized globally. The mid-level guys are not going to be known. Like, the bench players are not going to be known. And Andrew Wiggins is not going to be known overseas. Whereas overseas, every major country, Spain, Italy, Germany, Russia, all of them, go to Argentina, Brazil, all have major soccer leagues. Like, major leagues, like top tier that all compete against each other. So it's not like there's lacking quality. That's why we were talking about it off camera a couple weeks ago, like the UEFA's Champions League, which is like literally the top 4 teams from every major European country play against each other. All of those top 4 teams have rosters that are stacked full of names I could rattle off around the block, that it's like anywhere they go in Europe, anywhere they go in Asia, anywhere they go in South America, they're going to get known. They're going to get noticed because imagine we were talking about it. There is no other comparable league to the NBA in the world. That's why these stars at the top of the top are so recognizable and so well known, like a LeBron James. There is no other league comparable to the NBA. Whereas in soccer, there are multiple leagues with a litany of talent that are all comparable to one another. You have the Premier League, you have La Liga, you have Bundesliga, you have the MLS, you have the CONCACAF, which is South America. All of them are comparable to each other. Liga MX out of Mexico. Like, you have these top tier teams with top tier talents, like the best of the best of the best, that are known worldwide. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like in the NBA, it's like you're getting to know the top guys because there's only so many. Whereas you're going to know a hell of a lot more in soccer because you might be from Tottenham, which is a city outside in England. You might only give a shit about the guys on the Tottenham roster. You could care less about who's on the Milwaukee Bucks. You know what I'm saying?
I'll use one more example. And this is for the lesser known. Because, I did 8 years in the military. 4 of those years I did in Germany. 2 of the years while I was in Germany, I actually coached basketball. The first year I coached, I was selected as assistant coach on essentially an all-star team of the U.S. forces. I mean, we had our own teams, Air Force, which I was assistant coach, and then I got selected to be an assistant on the All-Star, which was Air Force, Army, Marines, all of those put together to play against other countries. For this, where did we play? We played in England. Bro, within 5 minutes of us getting there, everybody knew who we were. They knew we were the American basketball team, and everybody wanted to take pictures with us. Like, this is I did music. Rapped for a little bit. Yeah, well, I didn't make it. It wasn't Jay-Z Airman. I'm not saying that, but like, I've never experienced anything like this. We didn't even win the tournament, and people we were going downtown drawing crowds, and we're military basketball players, but still, like, the effect American basketball players has on the rest of the country is insane. And you underestimate how insane it is.
No, I didn't, because that's what I just said. When one is close, but two, listen to what you said. American basketball players.
Right.
And we're talking about basketball as influential overall. That was your original question, was like tier of athletes, who's more influential. It's like, yeah, the top of the top NBA basketball players, American basketball players, maybe they have that pull.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
When it comes to soccer, it's like, dude, it's top. Like, they know, like, people overseas when it comes to soccer are more fanatical than any of us are about any of our sports, and that's not an arguable fact. That's why, like, they literally, like, kill, like, dudes die if they screw up in, like, major games. Like, they riot in the streets. Like, that's why they have hooligans. Like, it's people are way more upset. Like, imagine the Buffalo Bills psychotic fans pregame, but that's like every game, every single team. And it's not just that game, it's the whole goddamn weekend that they're just destroying the city. Yeah. And that's if they win. Like, they're insane. They're looted. I'll put it that they're close, but we're going to have to, even though I hate this phrase with every passion of a band, we're going to have to agree to disagree, because it's just, soccer is still, as far as like influential, like individual players, there's just way more influential players in soccer that are known, that are household names, household faces, outside of the United States than there are basketball players. And that's even if you talk about basketball players, even two Americans, most that even good sports fans can't name off more than maybe a dozen or so. You know, I'm like, ask somebody to name everybody that makes an all-star team each year. They're going to struggle. That's only 24 names.
Dude, most Americans couldn't name like 3.
No, that's what I'm saying, but I'm like, when you talk about soccer players, it's like, no, they could, they're knowing the dude that's coming off the bench, like Christian Pulisic, who plays for Chelsea, is an American. And it's like, the reason that Americans lost our minds about that, like American soccer fans, was like, oh my God, we got an American on a European soccer team in the first league, in the Premier League, and on Chelsea, one of the best teams. Like, that's insane that he going to get playing time, because it was like, he's up against these titans of football, which is, again, the biggest sport in the world.
Yeah, but no, you missed it. You helped my point. You were saying that most Europeans could only name like 12 NBA players. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, but most Americans could only name like 3 European soccer players. So that kind of helps.
Well, I mean, because, again, it's that, to my original point was like, yes, basketball as an influence in America is primary. But as far as like global influence, could mid-tier guys get named, like, just clear, like, oh my God, I know who this is, instead of it just being like, oh, it's a tall black guy wearing like an NBA fucking onesie or whatever. Clearly he must be in the fucking league. Like, let me take a picture with him because I'm in Spain or I'm in Greece, and it's American, and just taking a picture. Like,
nah, they know, bro.
Like, not as much as they know soccer. That's all I'm saying. It's like,
they know Lance Stevenson.
The basketball influence worldwide is getting bigger. I'm not gonna dispute that. Like, basketball, I would say is
Stephon Marbury took over China.
Is second, but it's still the number one, like, influencer globally is still soccer. And there's just no denying it. Even when it comes to their revenue streams and how much money they make, they still shit on our stuff. Like, it is such an insane amount of influence and pressure and fandom, and it's just.
But that goes to that's a whole.
It's still soccer.
There's 100 soccer teams.
I'll put soccer.
There's 30 NBA teams.
I'll put soccer on a scale of 10. I'll be like, as far as influential, 10. 10 being the top. Soccer's 10. I'll put basketball like 9.8 right now, and then it'll be like, realistically, the next one will probably be some shit like tennis.
I think it's baseball.
Like, I was gonna say baseball or tennis. Like, those to me are interchangeable.
Baseball, tennis.
Even though, because baseball is like one of those ones that's, again, it's like a weird one when you think about it, like, internationally or globally, in that it's huge in the Americas. Top all the
North, 70%
Central, South.
70% of the MLB is international.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it. I'm saying, I wasn't saying that baseball wasn't influential. I'm just saying, like, if you look at where it's popular, it's like, yeah, you have the Americas, North, South, and Central, like, all of them that send players constantly. And then you have, like, a huge, huge influence coming out of, like, Asia. Yeah. Obviously, my guy, Shohei Ohtani, he was, won MVP in a landslide. Like,
he was terrible in MLB, the Show 21.
Oh my God, they nerfed him intentionally because it wasn't fair. Like, when it first came out, it was like, people were doing, it was like the glitch shit. Like, it wasn't fair playing with him because, anyway. But yeah, so like baseball has that huge influence, but it's like missed in Europe. Like Europe doesn't really seem to give a shit about baseball. Like
they have cricket.
They have cricket, yeah. So they're like, dude, we got all cricket bots over here. We don't need your little ball and sticks. We're fucking about, yeah. Like, so I mean, baseball would be third only because, like, yeah, again, we have like a whole continent that just doesn't give a fuck about it. Like, they care. They're more interested in learning about football than like baseball. So yeah, I guess tennis, to your point, Djokovic shouldn't have the influence he does. Maybe in Australia, but yeah, we got all the way over. But like,
yeah. And then you bring in the mayor, dude. You're walking around with COVID. Who are you to think you could just walk around with COVID?
You going to photo shoots and shit. Like so I sent it to you. We laughed about it again tonight. Like a meme I saw is like, this pandemic has for real showed us like who would most of you motherfuckers would be hiding them zombie bites, bro. Like Djokovic was going 2 days after he tested positive. He's at a photo shoot in France. You know that you're dirty, right. And you go. That's like you just tested positive HIV and you go raw dog some chick. Like, bro, what are you doing? You just like, yeah, she might get lucky, but how do you know you're carrying something deadly and just don't give a shit?
No, that's like you going to pick the homie up from jail with a pound of weed in the trunk.
Nah, I don't even say a pound of weed. Nah, we gotta step it up because again, this shit's killing people. So it's like your homie picking you up. You just did like a 5 stretch. He picks you up. And he's got like a kilo of coke in the back, along with an assault rifle and the shotgun. And that's all in the trunk, but he got a shotgun under a blanket in the back seat and a busted taillight on a stolen car.
And you got to drive by 3 police stations on the way home.
And he picks you up, and he's like, and he's smoking a blunt out the window, like, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, how was you doing, man? Man, it was hard up in there, huh, bro? But you held it down. We just got to make some stops real quick. No, no, you're doing something wrong.
Taking this bus home.
Yeah, I'm gonna catch the next one, bro. I got a lift coming. Oh, they let you? I'll figure it out, bro.
Yeah.
All right. So, apart from people willingly, knowingly, apparently just not giving a shit about the well-being of someone around them,
right? To
somebody, you ain't made that much money. Like, you haven't made that much money. It was Dave Chappelle was talking about like. Jay-Z versus Beyonce money recently, and he was like, Jay-Z's got that like shut up bitch money, yeah, and Beyonce's got that no, you shut the fuck up. Djokovic, you ain't got that kind of money.
Either one.
Like you have a lot of money, you're an extremely successful man, but you ain't got the like, oh fuck your whole country's health system kind of money. So moving past him into other news,
to more responsible athletes.
More responsible ones. Let me ask you. You want to go NFL? You want to go MLB, NBA?
We go NFL first.
All right. So I'm gonna jump on this if you don't mind. What the fuck was the head coach Staley of the LA Chargers thinking? And what voodoo? And what voodoo do you do, Mr. Mike Tomlin, to keep being in the fucking playoffs?
Mike Tomlin is the 3rd best coach in the NFL. If you
Mike
do not
Tomlin,
believe it.
If Mike Tomlin did, like, I feel like he might have pulled like some kind of mentalist. I mean, we live in Vegas. We've seen all the mind tricks. You mean hell, we went and saw Penn and Teller. Like, he did something through the TV to convince Staley to call a timeout. For those that don't know, the uninitiated, last week in the NFL was a wild fucking weekend. Like, I couldn't believe that so much shit, even improbable shit, happened. In a nutshell, there were 4 key teams that all were trying to make it into the playoffs.
Right.
You had the Steelers, the Colts, the Raiders, and the Chargers.
Yeah. Steelers handled their business.
The Steelers had to win and needed help. They needed a lot of help. They needed what seemed like ridiculous help.
The Chargers really only need 2 things.
Hold on. Yeah.
No,
they
2 things.
Yeah, 2 things, I guess. The Chargers and the Raiders, it was super simple. Winner gets in.
Right.
Unless the improbable shit happens. Where the numbers don't lie, but they should kind of situation. You have the Indianapolis Colts, who in week 17, so 2 weeks ago, all they had to do to beat the Raiders. At that point, they're guaranteed a playoff spot.
Right.
Choke it off, lose to the Raiders. The following week, last week, all they have to do is beat the worst fucking team in the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they're in the playoffs. Doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. Just win, you're in. Problem was, people,
Jacksonville came to play.
And the Indianapolis Colts apparently just wanted to believe in curses. They have not won against that garbage team. They haven't beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville since 2014. All they had to do was break that streak against the worst team in the NFL, right? They're in the playoffs. Steelers out of the playoffs. Yeah. It's over with. Because the Raiders and Chargers weren't affected by shit. You know, their game was what it was. Right. Whichever one of us wins is in. Unless, as I said before, let's go back to the unless. Unless the Colts lose and the Steelers win, then the Raiders and the Chargers could both get in the playoffs if they tie.
Yeah.
Steelers pull off an improbable victory, in my opinion. They do everything, as you said, they do what they need to do. They put themselves in position, and now they start praying. Mike Tomlin starts doing the voodoo that he do. The Colts not only lose, but lose badly to the Jags. So they're out of the playoffs. Then it comes down to the Raiders and the Chargers, who had like 3 or 4 hours after that result to know that if they tie, they both get in.
Yeah.
Now everybody was like, oh, they're not going to do that. Like, they're not going to play it out. And for much of the game, that's exactly how it looked. Like, yeah, they're gunning for each other. These are AFC West rivals. Like, they're not going to try to give a handout to another rival, right? And then they got into OT, and then it got late, and it was 31-31. The Raiders had the ball, 30-something seconds left. They're in field goal range. The play clock is on the side of the Chargers. Mm-hmm. The Raiders were going to let it run down. It's already been, it's come out, and they were going to let it run down and go with the fucking tie, which would have kicked the Steelers out of the playoffs. And Coach Staley for the Chargers inexplicably called a fucking timeout. Yeah. To which, and to my boy Jimmy Reed, this is for you. It was the first time in my life I've ever been proud of the Raiders. Because they're the same thing we always talk about with the Raiders, where they have that fuck you mentality. They tried to play nice. You called that timeout, the Raiders said, oh, well, fuck you then. Game over, bitch.
Win the game.
Like, and now the Raiders are in the playoffs, so congrats to the Raiders. Idiots to the Chargers, and congrats to the Steelers on somehow squeaking in yet again.
But I mean, it goes even way before that. Even I'd blame State. Like, why not go for 2?
Or that.
Like, I've never got that point. I know a lot of people had some feelings about Buffalo, which that call that flips the number 1 seed on Tennessee when they went for it instead of going to overtime. But you think about it. Why go to overtime where, 1, if I get the ball. 1, if you get the ball, I got to stop you from getting a touchdown. Let's say I hold you to a field goal. You kick off to me. I got to drive, 40 yards to tie the game, potentially 75, 80 yards to win the game.
Right.
I'm not going to get a better opportunity than a 1 yard away
right.
to win the game. So why not just take it right there? I feel the same thing with the Chargers. Like, you had all the momentum in the game. Justin Herbert threw an amazing pass to get you in the end zone. You're not going to get a better opportunity than 2 yards away from the end zone. Like, if you're going to go after it right there. Like, don't even go to OT. Just let the whole season ride right there.
Yeah.
I think people would have felt better about that.
Oh, absolutely. Instead of seeing that brutal video of Austin Eckler, the star running back for the Chargers, getting told by a Raiders player, bro, we were going to take a knee. And his face like, nah.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, we were going to take a knee. Let the game run out. But we was both going to the playoffs.
I call it karma.
And we was going to send 3 teams from the AFC West to the playoffs.
I call it karma.
Because
they shouldn't have fired Lynn.
No, they shouldn't have.
And this is what you got. Because I guarantee you Lynn wouldn't have called that time.
And then you choked it off. Like, at one point, I can't believe how the Chargers fell apart. I think they only won, 3 of their final, 9 games or something crazy like that. Like, because at one point, they were, in cruise control. At one point, they were, 6-3, 7-3. and then to finish 9-7 and miss, or 9-8 and miss the playoffs. It's like, how did you collapse like that?
Again, they started like kind of like how the Vikings were. Remember, they won a lot of close games that like they shouldn't. They beat us and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
I think they beat the Bengals and they really shouldn't have. Like they won 3 or 4 games that
They
they
beat
really
the Chiefs in a close game.
That they shouldn't have won, and it catches up with you. Like it always did, just like Arizona. Everybody was hot shit on Arizona. Oh, the last undefeated team, just like Pittsburgh last year, last undefeated team, and then you start playing some teams, you find out who they really were. So San Diego, once you get into the thick of things, every game basically after week 10, I think across the NFL was a playoff game. Pretty much. Like races were that close.
Yeah.
Jockeying for position was that close. And it was like you find out who a lot of these teams really were.
I mean, who was it? I think it was the Raiders that won like their last 4 games.
Yeah.
And shout out to them for making history in that, because I think they were the only team to win 4 games in a row by a combined total of like 12 points.
Well, no, they were 6-0 in overtime. Either games that went to overtime or were decided on the last play of the game.
Yeah. Oh, that too.
That's wild.
Clutch. I mean, so again, credit where credit's due. Personal biases aside for me,
including a freaking game-winning field goal against us.
Yeah, I'm not hating on the Raiders at all with what I'm about to say. I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting myself. But I'm giving them props. Congrats on them making the playoffs. I mean, it's a Vegas team, so
yeah, they
gotta be happy.
They've had a year. They've dealt with some things.
But I definitely feel like that's the end. I think that this is the end of the season. I don't see them. I think they might be able to get a win.
I think they're gonna beat Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think that they can get a win. I don't think that they're gonna go too far in the playoffs. But again, I'll be happily surprised. I mean, this team has been showing a whole bunch of grit all season when they've been written off by people, getting paid way more than me and you. And yet, they're a playoff team. At the end of the day, it's, you can't say shit to the Vegas Raiders except for unless your team's in the playoffs too. It's kind of that, shut the fuck up. Say, who's your team? Oh, what are they doing right now? So shut the fuck up. Are they prepping for a game that matters? No, they're not.
Yeah, so, I got the Raiders going into Cincinnati and taking that one down.
I don't. I mean, I think it'll be a closer game than it might be on paper, but I think Joe Burrow has that swag I think Cleveland hoped that Baker Mayfield was going to bring. And I think that Joe Burrow is just he's riding too high on it. And again, I think I saw this other meme, dude, and I had to look it up because I didn't believe the shit. You know that no one has ever sent a text in human history that the Bengals won a playoff game. Because the last time the Bengals won a playoff game was 1991. And the first ever text message was sent in 1992. So I'm hoping that Joe Burrow can break a 30-year curse. So somebody can send a text, the Bengals won. And then in the other game, we got you got your boys, man. They got there, the Patriots, in the playoffs.
Yes, they did.
I mean, it wasn't your playoff Panthers, but it was your playoff Patriots. That was your sleeper team, was the Patriots, though. And I didn't think they'd win more than 5 games, so fuck me. I mean, they in the playoffs. They playing the Bills. I got the Bills in that game, but I don't think that it'll. Again, I have the Bengals winning. If I were to put like numbers to it, I say 31-24. Because anything closer than that, and I think the Raiders win. Like, I think if it comes down to a field goal game, the Raiders will prove that you just went over that they'll win that shit. So I think that the Bengals will keep them at bay. Patriots game, I think Patriots Bills. Yeah, I think it's going to come down to like a field goal. I think that game ends on a field goal. I'm going to go with the Bills just because the Bills have slightly more talent, but it'll come down to that point because the Patriots have Bill Belichick. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's how it'll balance out. The Bills are the better overall team, but the better coach is Bill Belichick. So that'll level it out. It'll come down to a final kick. And I think that the Bills will position themselves to have the final kick in that game.
I'm going to say something that's going to sound super weird. I think the Patriots are going to win the game. One is going to be 0 degrees in Buffalo, and Josh Allen does not play good in the cold. He is not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
2, I think if the Patriots win their game, they're going to the Super Bowl. Like, Buffalo has to beat them. If Buffalo does not beat the Patriots, nobody's going to beat the Patriots in the AFC. It just
even the Chiefs or the Titans.
This season just has that weird feeling.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen history made over the last few years. Last year, first time ever team playing the Super Bowl in its own building. Now we have a rookie quarterback has never started a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We have a rookie quarterback in the playoffs, and he just happens to
really
play
good.
for Bill Belichick.
And he's really good.
Yeah.
And
he's got a defense to back him up.
Really good. Their defense is really fucking good, guys.
It's just like,
paying attention to Patriots defense is really good.
Exactly. So it's like one of those things where it's like kind of aligned. Like the obviously the Bills are the team who are most familiar with the Patriots in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they don't beat them, nobody's gonna beat them.
You're right. That is a bold statement. I can't go off that. I can't go off that ledge with you.
They're not saying they're gonna win this, but they'll be there.
I can't. I can see it. I mean, actually,
because you figure this: if they win this game, they're the lowest. Are they the lowest seed? No. Yeah, they are the low seed.
Yeah,
they're the lowest seed in the playoffs. So if they win, they go to Tennessee. You telling me they can't go to Tennessee and beat them without Derrick Henry? Whew. And let's say, for argument's sake, who else we got? Because you Chiefs, so Chiefs win, and
the Chiefs are going to the AFC Championship game. Like,
the Chiefs.
I might be skipping a couple rounds of playoffs.
Why does it feel like somebody's missing?
The Titans. That's it.
Yeah, Titans gonna be one. And
then
they would play each other. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got, I think the Raiders win. Now you got Raiders and Chiefs. That's another division game. You know, division games are ugly, rough and ugly. They're gonna be beating up on each other, regardless of whoever could win that game is gonna be beat up. Going against Bill Belichick. It's more likely than not. If the Buffalo Bills don't beat the Patriots, they're gonna end up in the Super Bowl. Like if the Chiefs play the Bengals, I mean that easy. But if they play the Raiders, because you know the Raiders have given the Chiefs problems over the last 2 years.
They beat them this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming off that ugly game.
You split the decision with them. It's the third time seeing them. The Raiders are riding momentum, like especially if they get past the Bengals with the fucking year that they've had. If the Raiders get past the Bengals, they'll probably be on the same. They'll have the same mentality, minus the coach, as the Patriots. Like, yo, this is just our year. Look at all the shit we went through.
Yeah, and they're going to take that mentality into Kansas City. So I'm saying, regardless of a winner, it's going to be an ugly, tough. They going at it, and then you coming off of that all sword beat up, and you got to play the Patriots.
So neither one of us.
Championship game.
So it doesn't sound like either one of us, despite knowing that shit guy. You don't think that the Steelers will beat the Chiefs?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Okay, I just wanted, because I didn't want it to sound like we was just skipping over in case anybody's listening.
No, I'm not
fans are listening. It's just y'all are lucky that you even in the goddamn playoffs.
No, I'm not skipping.
Big Ben is on his way out.
Let's
not talk about it. I don't want to talk about off season yet. I don't want to talk about.
Well, you can talk about this is his last game as a Steeler.
Yeah,
put it like that.
Yeah, I mean they can still replace him. You know, if they want to get someone who won't miss a step with the culture that they put, you know, around the quarterback in Pittsburgh, they go get Deshaun Watson. I mean, one serial abuser for another one. I mean, why not? Right? One, okay, that's my one low blow for the.
If the roles in this game were reversed, let's say the game was in Pittsburgh,
maybe
I would give them a puncher's chance.
Yeah,
you going into what's the name of it?
Arrowhead.
They changed the name. It's something they did what you guys did. It's something at Arrowhead.
Oh,
but yeah, we'll just say Arrowhead Stadium. Going in there, first playoff game, the crowd's gonna be hyped. This is the first wild card game they've had in like 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be pumped up, and it might because it could be their only home game.
Yeah, and you know that Patrick Mahomes, if he's figured out how to shut his dumbass brother and fiance up, then Patrick Mahomes might be focused for the game.
His brother is
can someone please just handle that dude? Like, I don't even like what I'm about to say right now, but can we please figure out a way to get was it Jackson Mahomes, whatever this stupid name is, in the ring with one of them Paul brothers? Like Logan Paul, knock him the fuck out, please.
Get him in the ring with Patrick.
Do it for the culture.
He got something to say for us.
Do it for the culture, bro. Logan Paul beat up Patrick Mahomes' brother for the culture. We need him to shut up. Y'all are both loudmouths, but at least you shown you can fight.
Like, bro, you got dissed by a restaurant.
Get out of here, bro. He's
who apparently looked at our chart and said, "Yeah, on the pantheon of you ain't on it.
Siblings don't count." Yo, brother can eat here for free. Right? All right, so you want to go to the other matchups? I mean, we got the Eagles. I can't believe they're in the playoffs. I mean, just say that. I don't know how they're in the playoffs, but
I don't know how they're in the playoffs without winning the division.
Yeah, it was some weird work, and they clinched it like a week ago.
Right.
And it didn't make any sense to me because they don't even have somehow.
Hey, Jalen Hurts, man.
Somehow the math worked out. They clinched a playoff spot. Jalen Hurts almost got killed by his fans. I don't know if y'all saw that. Hey, Jalen Hurts going into the locker room and the whole side of the bastion fell down.
You see how he looked at it at first, though?
Like, bruh, that was death right there. But the Eagles going into playing Tom Terrific and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You think there's going to be an upset alert yet, or you want to save your upset alert for a different game?
I had Buccaneers winning, but I think it'll be a close game. It'll be a close game. I think
it'll be a close first half.
I think it'll be a close game because Tampa's going to answer questions all week about AB, and they're just going to be ready to play football. But it's gonna bug. And the guys are banged. They're more banged up this year than they were last year going to the playoffs.
Do you want to speak about Antonio Brown?
No, but they're gonna have to. The media's gonna be all about it.
I'm asking you. Do you feel like talking about?
No, he's an idiot. The only thing I'll say about it, Antonio Brown is, you can tell the people out there to give him a problem. I told you 3 years ago, this dude needed help. He was gonna be out of the league. He wasn't out of the league, but I think he is now.
He's got to be.
Like, you were the, like, this is why it's things like this and people like this and situations like this that mess it up when somebody tries to do something right. And yes, right now I'm talking about Colin Kaepernick. Mm-hmm. Like, what he did and what happened to him will be overlooked by something that this idiot is doing for money. Mm-hmm. And that's sad.
I'm like, and you, how you gonna go?
Right, and I love
Tom Brady, man.
I love this one thing I do like about Tom Brady. He holds grudges. People don't realize it. If you don't realize it, because he came
like
out
the fiercest competitor on.
Yeah. AB came out talking stuff. What did he do last Sunday? Oh, you take me out of the game. I'm gonna go back in for one play and throw it to Grunt just so he can get his bonus because he fucking earned it. Fuck you, AB.
Like,
and who's there? I don't even know who their backup is. He could have threw that pass. He'd be, yo, run this to Gronk. Nah, he went in there on purpose because I want to be the one.
Yeah,
just to show you. Think I don't care about people's money? Watch this.
All right, so now we got my dark horse that I predicted at the beginning of the season, and damned if they didn't almost trick it off in the last seconds of the game. The 49ers, San Francisco 49ers, I called it.
I hate the 49ers.
But I called it. I need my credit. I called it. I'm like, it was my dark horse team. I could see them making the playoffs.
They were.
And they squeaked in. They in the playoffs, and they going up against the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are in the playoffs.
We both had them.
Who do you have winning this matchup? I'm going to go with the Niners. Just because, again, it's my dark horse team, so I'm going to ride with them in their first playoff matchup. I'm not going to say they're going to get there and then bail on them on the first game. So, I hate the Cowboys. So, yeah, I'm going with the Niners.
I'm going to take partial credit for the Niners. I'm going to go with the old get rich or die trying line. Yeah. It's like when I'm right, I'm right. And when I'm wrong, I could have been right. So I'm still right because I could have been wrong. And remember, I told you I was down on the 49ers because they're doing the whole quarterback juggle thing.
Yeah.
But somewhere in the middle of the season, once he got healthy, they just settled on Jimmy G. They stopped doing all that. We're gonna bring you in for this pack. No, just let Jimmy G play.
Yeah.
And that's when they started winning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, because as cliche as it sounds, yeah, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one.
Yeah.
So once they finally settled on one, so yeah, we're gonna let you play and let Trey sit the bench and learn. That they took off.
Yeah.
But stops here. You got the Cowboys. Cowboys at home.
Zeke and them boys.
Because I'm gonna say Dak Prescott is not a liar. We go back to the first Thursday night game of the season, which was a good game and probably could have been better if the coach had to put Micah Parsons on the edge then and ran the ball then. But after the game, remember Dak and Brady met in midfield, and Dak told you, hey, we'll see you again. We're going to see you again. So if they win this game, Tampa handles their business, we get that rematch.
That could be a good one.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. So I'm calling for the Bucs and Cowboys. Step it up this weekend so we can get that rematch next week.
And then we got Arizona and the LA Rams. I mean, this is a matchup that I'm surprised, given how the season started. I'm going up to like the halfway point in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I felt safe in arguing. I would have argued with anybody, including with you, even though we were seemingly on the same page, that this should have been, if anything, an NFC championship matchup, not the first playoff, wild card weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
this was supposed to be the first playoff matchup. Between the Rams and the Cardinals, given that at one point the Rams were like at the halfway point, the Rams were 7-2, the Cardinals were 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
Trading the lead in the NFC West and in the NFC.
And the Cardinals had blasted.
The Packers were right there the whole time, but it's like I would have expected this matchup later, not the first weekend. And it was what you said. Like, both of these teams kind of sputtered towards the end.
Yeah.
Like, they definitely, especially the Cardinals, looked like they limped across the line to me.
They did.
It was like they looked like a team. Like, it was like, thank God we built that much of a lead because we ran all the way out of gas.
Yeah, they would have missed the play. If there were 2 weeks left in the NFL season, San Francisco would catch the Cardinals.
Yeah.
To me, in watching them play, honestly, it looked like kind of the same thing happened. Middle of the season, what happened to Baltimore? Like, Baltimore kind of fell off, and what happened was
our quarterback who's unvaccinated decided to get COVID like 17 times.
Oh no! Even before that, though, it was. I'm trying to remember who they played. They played. Was it the Chiefs? No, it wasn't the Chiefs. It might have been the Colts. No, after they beat the Colts, they came back and beat the Colts. Can't remember who they played, but basically, it might have been the Steelers. Honestly, just blitz Lamar Jackson. Literally, they're like, if you run, you run, but we're coming. Mm-hmm. After that, everybody started doing the same thing. And it kind of like Lamar just started having bad performance after bad performance after bad performance. Kind of seeing the same thing happen to the Cardinals. Once Kyler Murray came back from that injury, teams just, you know what? Just pressure him. Mm-hmm. If he gets out of the pocket, he gets out of the pocket. Just pressure him. And then you saw the Cardinals kind of decline. Their running game declined because teams started playing the run on the way to trying to get Kyler Murray. So, I don't want to say the league might have figured them out, but I definitely think the Rams did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think the Rams win.
Yeah, I got to say the Rams win it.
I think Kyler Murray had a great start to the year.
He did.
But yeah,
early MVP candidate.
Early MVP candidate. He earned that right. Even I was on here admitting as much. He definitely fell off after the injury, whether it was him or the team's adjusting, combination of both.
Yeah, and they lost D-Hop.
Yeah, and then so not to leave him out of the conversation, past the Cardinals. What do you think about the 2 number 1 seeds? I'm surprised. I don't think that anybody would have picked the Tennessee Titans other than Tennessee Titan fans. I don't even think they were that bold to think that they would finish as the number 1 seed at AFC
without Derrick Henry.
So, oh my God, especially without. We thought this season was done because how could you not? How could you not? When you lose the best running back in the league, or at least yardage wise, impact wise, just fear wise,
right?
You lose him. Oh, and quick side note, that dude went down week 7
Yeah,
some shit.
8,
Week 6, 7.
Relatively early.
Still finished as 6th overall in yards for the year.
He also still led the league in carries, I'm sure.
But either way,
gets the ball 90 times a game.
Yeah, but I'm like, to think that they could, and obviously with help, end up as the number 1 seed. I don't think anybody picked that.
I'll give credit where credit is due. Vrabel
has done a hell of a job.
Yeah, he's a much better coach than I would have gave him credit for.
So who you think should be coach of the year? Him, Belichick, or LaFleur?
Coach of the year, honestly, Zach Taylor, Cincinnati.
Yeah. Oh,
like nobody. If you show me give me a Bengals fan. If you're a Bengals fan, tell me you thought the Bengals thought they were going to win the division.
Oh, and that division too.
I can see if you're like, yeah, we get a playoff, we get a wild card. No, give me a Bengals fan who thought they'd win the division.
With a second-year Joe Burrow, a first-year Jamar Chase.
Right. The Ravens coming off the season they came off, and us coming off the season we came off last year.
And the Steelers being the fucking Steelers.
Right.
It's like,
tell me you thought they would win that division preseason.
Right.
I'll give you $100.
So, I mean, I'd lean towards Vrabel, only because, again, it's like an improbable way to get there.
I can see.
I don't think he'll get it. It might go, Zach Thomas, but and then obviously you got the Green Bay Packers, who you never had a shred of a doubt about.
No.
Do you think that this is just another year that they lose an NFC Championship game?
No, that's half of my preseason Super Bowl. So I'm still rocking with them.
So you think
they coming out of the NFC
all the way? You think they're going to topple the Bucks?
They can come out of the AFC.
All right.
I do not think they'll topple the Bucks.
You don't think that they'll even have to play them?
Nope.
All right. Well, we'll get into that after we, that'll be on the next episode. We'll talk about. Obviously, we'll get to see who's doing what and have our playoff predictions for that.
Yeah.
I mean, who you got as your MVP? I mean, now that the regular season's done and the voting started, who you have as MVP for the NFL?
He has no chance of winning it.
You still going Trayvon Diggs?
No.
Because his numbers started looking real bad at the end of the year.
He does. So he's a terrible. Here's the thing about it. He has amazing ball skills.
Yeah, he needs to be.
He's bad at coverage. I was going to MVP. I probably go Cooper Kupp. Wow. Cooper Kupp essentially won the Triple Crown, the NFL's version of the Triple Crown. Led the league in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Did it for a winning team.
He's only like the third player to ever do that, the fourth player to ever do that too.
Yeah, came up in big moments, and even when they lost their number 2, Robert Woods, he picked up that load, carried the load the rest of the way. So he has no chance of winning because he's a receiver, but I would vote for Cooper Kupp. That's
fair. I'm going Tom Brady. I mean, you know what the fuck it is. Nah, because I mean, it's really between him and Aaron Rodgers.
Just for dealing with Antonio Brown.
Right. Can we give him that? Can we give Tom Brady the MVP for just keeping his composure in that post-game conference? Like, dude, I vouched for you twice.
Let you live in my house.
3 times. 3 times I vouched for you, bro. I vouched for you in New England. I vouched for you with Tampa Bay. Then you had your little COVID bullshit. And I'm like, nah, he's good. I got him. And then you just storm off in the middle of the game. Like, Tom Brady deserves MVP for going into that press conference and somehow not losing his mind. And please, people, do not mistake Tom Brady with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, like, even at his most fiery, is still like a, wherever the hell he's from, down south boy. He's still like a nice, good old boy. Like, even on his,
Peyton Manning would throw that dude under the bus.
No, he would have. I'm talking about fiery. Like, Peyton Manning would have roasted him. Like, he'd have tore him a new asshole in his nice, polite, nationwide is on your side type shit.
Well, I still remember the kicker went and got liquored up.
What's the word? He dressed him down. He would have dressed him down. Tom Brady, if y'all have seen him on the sidelines, bro, he loses his mind.
Yeah. Like,
he has gotten into the face of men twice his size, screaming at them like they were children. Like, oh, my bad. Sorry for the spike. Like, you want to like just screaming at these people, right? And yet, after Antonio Brown pulled that shit, which made him look some kind of way, he went in that news conference and was just like, I just really need y'all to pray for this man's mental health.
Pray for Antonio.
You know what he was saying in that? And he was like, he was speaking out loud to himself, like, I need you, Tom. Don't lose your shit in front of these people.
No.
I want to kill this dude. Like,
no,
how you really do this shit to me? Like,
he was talking to Giselle. Because remember, his wife is one of the most famous supermodels ever walked planet.
Yeah.
You know she knows some people.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony, yeah, I know you from you from Florida and Liberty City and all that, but you don't know gangsters like Giselle know gangsters. Believe me, bro.
Bruh.
That's who he was talking to. See,
please,
honey, just
I'm sorry. It was a public apology. It was a Tom Brady apology. I'm sorry, babe. I was wrong.
Yeah,
I was wrong. So no, I got Tom Brady not because of that, and not because I like Tom Brady, but because he had a hell of a season. He finished the year leading the league in both passing yards and touchdowns. He had more interceptions than I know that he probably would have liked, but still not anywhere near as bad as some other of the top guys in the league, like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had the best, interception to touchdown ratio. That's pretty consistent.
You can pencil that in every year.
Yeah, but not Tom Brady again. He had a objectively phenomenal season. Again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers finishes the number 2 overall seed, won their division for the first time since 2009. Which a lot of people didn't realize that, Tampa Bay might have won the Super Bowl last year. They didn't win their division.
Right.
They haven't won that division in a really, since 2009. So they won their division. Tom Brady's again leading the league in numerous stats. And again, despite all the bullshit, they lost Godwin for the season. Antonio Brown lost himself. They've had, guys go out to COVID. They had issues with Leonard Fournette. Whether it was COVID, then coming back and getting injured, then coming back off the IR. So I'm like, he's juggled a lot. They've juggled a lot down there. That roster that I touted, they brought back all 22 players, and then they lost a lot of them quick.
And that defense is not playing the same.
Right. So it's Tom Brady to me is the MVP.
They got fat.
Yeah, Tom Brady
got
to
that
me
ring.
Is the MVP, but I'm not as confident as I was like the beginning of the season that the Buccaneers will make it back to the Super Bowl. I would not at all be surprised if it was the Packers, but I literally can't see it being. I can't see it being the Cowboys. I think it would be. I think it's going to be the Packers or the Rams, and I think I called the Rams at the beginning of the season. I thought they'd be the Rams. I know I said that my only other alternative was the Packers and Broncos. Which look at how fucking close I was on that pick, guys. Whoo! God damn it, I nailed that shit on the head. Fuck me.
It's tough road. You're talking about potentially playing the Cowboys. Some combination of the Cowboys, Rams, and Packers.
I think it'll be the Rams or the Packers that make it. Because, again, the Rams were my team that I thought, when I was looking at them, like, other than the Bucks, I was like, the Rams came on, I'm like, yeah, maybe. So I think the Rams could, but I think it'll still come down to the Bucks or the Packers. But I'm just not as confident that if it is Tampa Bay versus Green Bay in Green Bay, to go to the Super Bowl, that there's no way. As much as I love Tom Brady and I won't bet against him, I also can't bet against Aaron Rodgers at home for a chance to go to a Super Bowl in what is probably his last season in Green Bay.
2 years in a row.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't think he wants to lose that chance again. So
he ain't going nowhere.
We'll see.
He ain't going nowhere.
Because I want to touch briefly on that. We can talk about head coach vacancies before we transition to the NBA or something else. Because that's actually one of the big ones. There is. I said I didn't want to talk about them until they did some things, and they did both the things that I said. What did I say? I said I needed the Broncos to make a trade, and to fire Vic Fangio. They made a trade, although obviously I would have so much preferred it to have not been fucking Von Miller. Like, damn it, guys. That's my favorite player, ever.
He's in a better place now.
He is. And he's balling, and that's, again, why, I look at the Rams, and I'm like, they have 2 late additions to their roster, but these are 2, Odell Beckham, regardless of his diva prima donna antics, is still a top 10 wide receiver.
No. Absolutely not.
Okay. That's your opinion. So I'm gonna say Odell. Absolutely. For me, I still view him as a top 10 wide receiver. And then they got Von Miller, who's past his prime, coming off some injury bugs, but is still one of the most dominant outside linebackers to ever play the field. And him playing with Aaron Donald and getting in sync, they looked better as the season's going along. So them in the playoffs are going to be dangerous. But with the Broncos, again, we traded Von Miller, and then we fired Vic Fangio last week. Thankfully. Damn it. I need to vent real quick. I'm gonna take 4 minutes. Not even that. It's not even gonna be that. I'm gonna take like 1 minute. God damn, I needed that to happen, bro.
Did they fire the GM too?
No, George Patton
needs to be fired.
No, George Patton doesn't need to be fired.
Yeah, he does.
It's his first year.
He signed Teddy Bridgewater.
No, he didn't. No, he literally didn't. That was the whole thing. Like, George Patton came in and like his own, like Vic Fangio was already in his contract. We'd already gotten that was John Elway. Yeah. And then John Elway stepped down. Yeah, John Elway stepped down last March. So
he stepped up. He took a higher position.
No, he stepped out. Like, he still has a controlling interest in the team, but he's like not making any decisions anymore. Like, as far as personnel, hiring, firing, that's all George Patton. But this was George Patton's first year. So what Patton decided to do, understandably, was he just kind of let it ride.
Hey, he's the president of football operations.
I say he's still in the controlling interest.
Yeah, he gave himself a promotion.
Yeah, but whatever. He took himself out of the football decisions, so to speak. That's why I'm like, he stepped down. He stepped down from that position, stepped up to something else. Cool shit for him.
Good old Albert.
I don't like John Elway, so I don't like even talking about him. But whatever. But yeah, George Patton just let it ride. This is kind of what it was, the more or less the roster that had already been built. The head coach, Fangio was going into his 3rd or 4-year contract. So Patton was like, all right, I'll just kind of see how it goes. But then as he started noticing shit was going south, like post-draft, what did Patton start doing? And especially around that trade deadline, that's why I want to talk about the Broncos now. That's why I want to talk about the Packers a little bit, was because the top 2 names that the Broncos list for head coaching is Dan Quinn, formerly of the Falcons. He's currently the DC for the Dallas Cowboys, and Hackett, offensive coordinator for Green Bay Packers. Why is that intriguing? Let me get into it. Why is it intriguing what I'm saying? What has George Patton done that is absolutely brilliant if he does it right? He has all the pieces to do something amazing. We need to go into a rebuild year, people.
You're not getting Aaron Rodgers.
Hold on, though.
No, you're not getting Aaron Rodgers.
Hold on. I'm not saying that we're going to get Aaron Rodgers, goddammit. Saying there's a possibility. That is a possibility.
You're not.
I'm not going to say that's not even my main point. I'm just saying, yes, it is a possibility. And it is a possibility. Let me finish my point. God damn it. Because literally that's even why Hackett is being interviewed by the Broncos, is because he's one of the few people in management, of the coaching staff, that Aaron Rodgers still gets along with. The Broncos are going to be coming into next season with literally the highest cap space in the NFL, along with 11 draft picks in this year's draft. Now, again, that's why the Aaron Rodgers thing, as I was going to say, it's not a priority. You're laughing about it. I'm like, bro, that's not even something. It's a possibility. It's 100% a possibility. I mean, he could go to the Browns. It's a possibility. Anything's a fucking possibility. No. But what's interesting is that even if we don't get Aaron Rodgers, we just have those other things. We have a young, talented wide receiving core, young, talented defense, including Patrick Surtain, who might get, into the Pro Bowl as a reserve or as an alternate. Player. So I'm like, we have talent, young talent, good talent. We just don't have good coaching. But what we're going to also have is, again, 11 draft picks. 11 draft picks and the most cap space. To where I'm like, the Broncos are actually in a fantastic position this year to go out and hopefully not fuck it up. Because it's like, you cannot, as a fan, as a person, as an organization, ask for a better situation to put yourselves in than what the Broncos have right now. Okay. You have all the tools at your disposal to turn this ship around completely. You have 11 draft picks. I keep saying that, people, because that is a shit ton of draft picks. Because at least half of those, I believe, are in the first 2 rounds. You have a ton of draft picks. You can go out and get exactly the talent that we need on defense, on offense, on our fucking abysmal special teams. Jesus, if I see one more goddamn punt return for a touchdown or a bungled kick, or missed, oh my God, our special teams was a travesty.
Yeah, Judy dropped a couple. He's not really returning.
He's not supposed to be doing that. Yeah. Yes, like that's.
Like,
but anyway, the Broncos are one of the teams that are fantastically, and I'm not saying this as myself. I'm saying just listen to what I just said.
Just make up a word.
Fantastically, yes, I did. Fucking right.
Just checking.
Heard it here first.
Just checking.
Position to have like a great, not great year, but like a great chance to start the rebuild process. Because that's what we have to be on. I'm not going to be on here hoping that we're making the playoffs next year. I hope that we can pull off some Bengals shit where I'm like, oh, if we're just better than 5 wins and then we're in the playoffs, it's like, oh, dope. Like, I'm hoping that happens. But I'm thoroughly like, yo, I would much rather us spend this cap space and this opportunity building towards a team that in 5 years is the new Chiefs. Like, we just every year we're the top team.
That's
to
good.
Keep trying to just bandage when realistically it's like we're hemorrhaging and it's like, dude, this is not enough.
That's a good goal to have.
Yeah,
and I'm not being sarcastic.
I gotta be on that because it was that hangover. Like we kept until we lost Von Miller. For me, Von Miller was the glue. Von Miller was the final piece that I feel like every Broncos fan, and that's why in a good way he needed to leave, that was tying us to those Super Bowl thoughts. Like we should be a Super Bowl team. Because we just won a Super Bowl 6 years ago. Right. Like, so every Bronco is like, boy, we said Von. We're holding on to that. And it's like, no, we need to understand we are not a Super Bowl team. We're not a playoff team. We're not even a fucking contender right now. What we need to do is strip the shit down, which it looks like George Patton was doing all season, and just go at it and be like, yo, this is a 5-year project. Right. Like, that's what the Broncos need to do. What other team, because that's my segue. I took my 5 minutes. I didn't mean to. What other team do you think needs to? Oh, did you have something on the Broncos?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Broncos because I'm, even though you'll call it hate, and I'm sure people call it hate, but it's really honesty. Here's the job isn't that attractive. Not because of anything you stated. That has absolutely nothing to do. You're absolutely right. You got a nice young receiving core. Got some pieces in place.
Insane fan base.
The old
sold out stadium.
Screw the fans. Screw. I'm just talking about the organization. The O line could use some work, but almost every O line. Over almost every O line in the league could use some work. The defense is kind of going through a switcheroo from veteran to youth movement, but that's okay. You got some solid young players. The problem with the Broncos head coaching job is 4 times a year you have to play Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. That's the problem with the job. It's literally the only problem with the job. That's like the most attractive coaching job on the market right now. Chicago Bears, honestly. You got a young quarterback who can show you something. And all I have to deal with is Aaron Rodgers. That's it. Screw Kirk Cousins. Screw the Lions as a whole. Like, I deal with Aaron Rodgers, and let's say we don't even have to win the division. We got a great chance to be in the wild card. You got a good market. You got an owner who looks like he'll spend some money. They just need a GM who actually put the right pieces around. If you can get that going, who are you dealing with for the rest of your races? Tom Brady probably be gone in a couple years. You're dealing with Aaron Rodgers for what? 3-4 more seasons? If he doesn't lead the season, which I don't think he will. Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, Jalen Hurts. Like, that job is way more. Like, you could luck into a Super Bowl appearance right there. Taking a Denver job, you got to go through Mahomes and Herbert 4 times. Derek Carr-ish, if they don't make a change. Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Johnson. Like, the AFC is brutal. And it's not even a crap on the Broncos thing. The Houston job is atrocious for that exact same reason. I got to deal with Derrick Henry, Burrow.
But that's
the road to you being successful is so difficult.
But I get what you're saying.
You're gonna be fired in 3 years.
I know it's like it's painstaking for you to ever even attempt to try to look at the Broncos and anything that can even be remotely.
No, it's just bad timing.
On even the farthest planet from the sun as light or positive. I understand that.
No, it's just bad timing.
I'll take what you're saying. I'll take it in stride because it actually amplifies my point. Is that you can say it's not an attractive job. How many attractive jobs
right now this
year?
How
many attractive jobs are out there? Head coaching jobs, because that was part of what we were getting into. You got the Denver Broncos have a vacancy. You have the Bears have a vacancy. The Jets have a vacancy.
The Vikings.
The Vikings
they moved on.
The Vikings have a vacancy, and the Panthers have a vacancy.
They finally got rid of Rule?
Yeah.
Did they?
I might be. I'm like 90% sure the Panthers got rid of their vacancy. Or got rid of their head coach. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Let's see. Nothing about him firing.
Live fact check, people. Because I might be wrong about the Panthers.
Matt Rule is the problem. No, he's not fired, but they're just complaints.
So anyway, of the ones that are available that we know of, like the Bears is the argument. It's like, okay, you're thinking about who do we have to compete against?
Yeah, I'm thinking about being able to maintain my job,
which I understand that, but also to your point, like I get that nobody wants to be in the AFC. Whenever you have those juggernauts at the top, which are going to be at the top,
start in the AFC now.
Mahomes and Herbert, whatever. But again, why is the job going to be attractive? To counter to your point, than like a Chicago job. One, you're coming in with now going to be a second-year GM. So unlike an established organization or an established hierarchy of owner, GM, whatever, like you'd run into with, for example, the Chicago Bears, you're going to be coming into a situation where it's like you and the GM are basically like starting fresh with each other. The GM gave the previous, guy who had his job, he let his crew run for a year. Now he's going to be bringing in his own shit. Right. So if he brings you in, you are completely fresh. Clean slate, doesn't matter. You're here with the new GM. You're his guy. So you already have that automatic, like, deep connection with your GM. On top of that, the things I listed, you are going to help facilitate what to do with those 11 draft picks, those 6 first and second round draft picks in this year's draft. You're going to be able to help facilitate where to spend the literal highest cap space of any team in the league in a big market, because Denver has created itself as a big market. It's one of the most marketable teams. They're constantly the top in jersey sales. You're going to have a ton of cap space. Oh, shit. You also have a phenomenal young core of players that you can pick and choose from, like with offense, defense, whatever, that are already on the roster, that are eager and showing that they can do what they need to do. Absolutely. So I'm like, you have a better team overall than the Bears to start with. So just foundationally, the team that you have, that you would walk into day one, it's not like a lot, the Broncos are better than the Bears. Even if it's marginal, that's already why it's more attractive. What makes it even more so, as I just went over, you have a bunch of draft picks to make it even better. A shit ton. Oh, and I have a bunch of cap room and trade equity along with those draft picks to go out and get pretty much anybody I want. I mean, again, the white, the unicorn, the white elephant is Aaron Rodgers, and there are pathways to that. Like, yes, you don't believe he's leaving Green Bay. Yes, I put it at the most minimalistic of percentages. I don't think that he'll leave for anything other than what Denver can offer. And that's objective. Like, that would be because even last year, before, that was the only realistic trade spot for him, according to literally every expert, not me, was that the only place he would go if he left Green Bay is Denver. Now he could go to Denver with a GM with no hate, like he has for the fucking Packers, with his favorite coach being the now head coach. So he has an instant relationship with that head coach, a young core of talented wide receivers, a great defense. And again, all them draft picks where he could literally have the reins as he wants so badly that Drew Brees and and Tom Brady have. Mm-hmm. You imagine Aaron Rodgers for the first time in his career being in a new city that would embrace him wholeheartedly, absolutely love him. He could ride off into the sunset with a new GM, his head coach, and he can pick the draft. Shit he always talked about, literally what he was roasting them about last year. Yeah. There is no more attractive job than the Denver job, because you don't want to go and be on the Jets. Yeah. You want to talk about job security. There's no more insecure job in the league than the Jets. So you don't want to go there. Chicago, the same thing.
That's not even available.
The Jets, who am I tripping? Who else fired the job?
The Giants.
Giants, that's what I meant. New York. Sorry, that's what I meant. Sorry, people. Correction, the Giants.
But to be fair, they don't fire coaches after 1 year. They genuinely hold on to him for like 4 or 5 years.
But do you really want to be on the Giants,
But
though?
here's the thing, and I'm going to
With
invoke
Daniel
my
Jones.
mastery of terrible in
Yeah.
here because the Cleveland Browns have been a terrible organization for over 20 years.
Mhm.
I'm tell you a story about a coach who had some promise, who stepped into a situation. Guess what? With some nice young talent and a plethora of draft picks at his disposal, he got to come in with his own GM and pick out everything else. And they did that. They picked up some talent. They picked up some young players who actually developed into Pro Bowl athletes. And guess what?
Trade him to Denver.
No, he got fired and he ain't the coach now. That's why the job is unattractive. You're going to do all of that shit. You're going to get fired in 3 years after getting your head kicked in by Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and you're going to get fired in the next coach 5 years from now. That's why I said that is a great way of thinking for you as a Bronco fan, because 5 years from now, that coach is going to reap the benefits of all the work that dude gets hired this year puts in.
Let's see it. To transition perfectly to that point, actually. So we could talk about the NBA a little bit. You're feeling that's going to be like the Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr effect.
Yes.
Mark Jackson did all the hard work, for those that don't know, to build the Golden State Warriors into what we know. And the year before they won their first title, that was his last year with him.
Right.
He literally was the one that drafted Klay, Draymond, and Steph.
Yeah.
And built them. No, he didn't draft Steph. He drafted Draymond and Klay.
He did.
And built Steph up, broken ankles
Signed
and all.
Iguodala.
Signed Iguodala, built that, created the whole culture,
Bogut.
The offensive package, everything, the defense, everything that the Warriors are now or have ever been. Mark Jackson did, and then they fired him. Steve Kerr took over. They won a championship his first year.
That's what I say. Broncos fans that are listening,
like,
it is
Kerr's
not
amazing.
hate. I am telling you from experience. And if you want it, I'm talking about Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson developed a team. We had way more than 11 draft picks. Matter of fact, we had 2 top 5 picks one year. Guess what? Both of those picks have been to the Pro Bowl. They didn't get there with Hugh Jackson as the coach.
Well, all I'm
So
saying,
I'm telling you, like, let 5 years go by. Let Mahomes get a little bit older. He'll get another Super Bowl. Let Herbert get a little bit older. Let them develop that rivalry, and y'all just kind of maintain, develop some talent
as
that
I
can
said,
then come in and
all I
compete
wanted to see was the
a
Broncos.
few years from now.
I just wanted to see the Broncos make decisions about what the fuck we wanted the franchise to look like. And I told you
Right,
months
5 years
ago-
from now.
I told you months ago.
That's the way to go.
But I told you months ago what I wanted to see, and they've done both. I'm like,
Right.
we need to trade. We need to make a big trade. And what was I saying? I'm like, we either need to make a big trade for a player that can help us win now, which there's not available. I was saying that. I'm like, there's not one available, so we need to make a trade for draft picks. Fortunately, the sacrificial lamb ended up being Von Miller. We got those draft picks. The next step was do not hand those fucking draft picks to Vic Fangio. Don't you fucking dare get rid of Von Miller and give that shit to Vic Fangio. Because, dude, you've known me long time. And obviously we've talked about Vic Fangio long before we had this podcast.
Vic.
You have never heard me say a positive thing about this dude since he became our head coach.
I have.
What?
He's a good defensive coach.
No, I said that when he was hired. And said, oh, we hired
That's
him.
a nice thing since he's been hired. So what you said.
Fucking, yeah, technically. I was like, oh, we hired Vic Fangio. I heard he's a really great defensive coach. And that was the last positive thing I ever said about that sorry son of a bitch. God, he sucked. And he had the fucking nerve. See, I was trying to work on my cussing, but he had the nerve to say that he absolutely felt like he deserved another year. That was a direct quote from this son of a bitch. Yeah. I absolutely deserve to coach this team. You've gone 19-30.
I mean,
are you?
Yes. Again, you're in the division.
I don't give a fuck.
Here's the thing. You guys.
No. You went 19-30.
I don't know who talked to who or who didn't talk to who, but the Chargers made a move that you guys didn't. That's the difference between him having a job and not.
You know what move he didn't do?
They didn't trade up to get Justin Herbert.
We didn't need to trade up to get Justin Herbert because no. I'm not saying that we didn't, because it's the same thing. Like, you could always be like, somebody should have traded up to get Patrick Mahomes. I'm not even talking about. No. Let me fucking finish. God
no,
damn
I'm just laughing.
I'm not talking about we didn't need to fucking trade up to get somebody. You know what we had this past year was the 9th overall pick. You know who the fuck fell to 9? Justin fucking Fields. You know, the guy who ended up having a solid enough rookie season in Chicago, you know, injuries notwithstanding, who we could have just picked him or Trey Lance. Like, or I don't know, any of the other quarterback. But we didn't need to trade up for Justin Herbert 2 years ago. We could have. I'm not saying we couldn't have. But even, okay, we didn't know. We missed out on Justin Herbert. Just like, okay, people somehow slept on Patrick Mahomes. Everybody feels stupid about that. Like, I don't think that there's a team in the league, again, I've said this before, unless you have Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, or Drew Brees before he retired, I don't think there was another team in the NFL that was like, damn, I'm happy with who I have instead of Patrick Mahomes. Like, maybe Seattle with Russell Wilson. I mean, other than that, so that's what, 5 teams. So the other 30 plus were like, yeah, I'd have probably traded my first kid for Patrick Mahomes. Like, I mean, but no, we could have gone after Justin Fields. Now, I'm not upset about Patrick Surtain. I'm not upset about having Patrick Surtain at all, or Mac Jones. Who? I'm not upset about Patrick Surtain because, again, he's could be a Pro Bowler if he gets on the reserve list. He's a reserve, so alternate or whatever.
Right.
So I'm like, he's a great talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, he's a potentially.
He was the best corner in the draft.
Yeah, he has the potential to be, you know, a consistent top tier corner. But even at that, we both know from following football for so long that can trade in a year.
Yeah,
you know, like Stephon Gilmore, be nice one year and then just mediocre every year before that and since. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, Josh Norman
Norman
fell off
hard. So I'm like, what? But, and you heard me say it during the draft. I'm like, what do we need? What do the Broncos need? What have we been needing? A good quarterback. What did we go away from? We went and got, and it wasn't. Nope, I'm not gonna go into that. Anyway, we could have done some shit. We didn't do it. The Broncos are in a position now where I'm like, yo, please don't fuck this off. Please don't. Please. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Just don't draft a QB in the first round this year.
Just please. Moving along. Let's touch on the NBA a little bit. Unless there was more you want to talk about the NFL. I mean, there's a ton.
I'm not going to go on about it. But if I start talking about the Browns, I'm going to go insane.
Yeah, we can leave that. Leave that until next time. We'll talk about it on the next one. So we can go into the NBA. I mean, you know, that was kind of the transition of, like, you know, we have the Warriors. You know, speaking Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr, the Warriors look like they're back on that old dynasty stuff. You know, they're currently second in the Western Conference. It was like a half game behind the Phoenix Suns.
And screw Steve Kerr. Screw Steve Kerr.
Yeah, we got
because I know he intentionally brought Klay back against the Cavs. Like that. Like, really? That game?
Yeah.
His debut?
Well, shout out to Klay Thompson. I'm happy regardless of. I know you always think I'm a Warriors fan. I'm not. I love Steph Curry.
You are a Warriors fan.
I'll rep the Warriors so long as Steph Curry's on there. That's all that I'll say about that. Like, that'll be the team that I want to see succeed so long as Steph Curry's on the roster. It's not
just let you know he is a Lakers fan
because of Kobe Bryant.
No, you vouched that one day.
Because of Kobe
Of
Bryant.
all the stuff I've ever recorded in my life, I wish I recorded you saying that. No, what year was the year they drafted D'Angelo Russell? Yes, you were like, you know what? I'm just gonna be a Lakers fan.
Never said for life.
And then,
except from Kobe.
And then
I was a Lakers fan because of Kobe. Anyway, so we got Klay Thompson back. So shout out
Klay.
I meant like the NBA. I really meant that, like the NBA. Like, we got Klay Thompson back. Been 2.5 years. It's crazy to think that dude has not played against Kawhi Leonard in LA. Because his last game was when he played against Kawhi Leonard in the finals when he was in Toronto. Like, that's one of those. It was one of those weird things. Like,
The league was completely different. Last time he played basketball, Kevin Durant was his teammate.
Yeah, KD was his teammate. He missed the whole bubble. Like, it's been wild. 2.5 years to be away from the game. So
Klay Thompson is like Captain America when he was like frozen.
Yeah, I know it's like we didn't really do it because we've been off for a while. It's not my next man of the week. It's just my next man up. It's Klay. Congrats on coming back from 2 major injuries. Yeah. Happy to see him back on the court. But we got the Warriors again, second in the West. The Suns first in the West, and they're 1 and 2 respectively in the NBA as a whole. But your Cavs are surprising the league right now.
Yeah, they're playing good basketball. The group of guys that they have play well together. They just need to learn how to finish games. JB Bickerstaff's doing a hell of a coaching job. I would definitely have to put him up as a top candidate for Coach of the Year. Leader in the Coach of the Year category, though, definitely would have to go with his name Taylor from the Grizzlies, because the Grizzlies are killing it this year. And that boy,
sorry, I got something stuck in my throat.
Whoa.
This ain't COVID. I feel like nowadays you always gotta clarify your cough. Somebody cough or sneeze around you, like, identify. I was fucking talking, I think. Sorry, I can feel it in my throat.
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
This is fucking a family-friendly show here, sir.
Phrasing. Whoa, it is. If there's any kids listening to this at this point, oh my God, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not. Fuck your parents. Your parents are horrible.
I'm never going to let you live that down.
If your kids are listening to this right now,
I'm going to remix that.
Please don't.
I can feel it in my throat.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Whatever. It happens.
Yeah, Taylor Jenkins, coach of the Grizzlies.
It is the fucking weekend, so, I mean, hey, you never know.
You be my definite.
Vegas.
Live Mas.
It's Vegas on the weekend, baby.
Live Mas.
So Bickerstaff, JB Bickerstaff.
Yeah, he's doing a hell of a job.
Sorry for that, guys.
Like I said, I put him up there as one of the top 3 candidates for Coach of the Year. Definitely in the lead, though, Taylor Jenkins from the Grizzlies, because the Grizzlies are balling. Ja Morant is coming for everybody. Like, it was one thing I'll say about you. You're good for making team predictions. You're pretty on point with that, with your research. But you recall years ago we had these conversations every year. You asked me, if you had the number 1 pick in the draft, who would you take? Flat out, I would take Ja Morant. Mm-hmm. You say over Zion Williams. Yes, I'm taking Ja Morant. The boy is sickening. Like, and I always give the same what I thought about him then. It was like, people ask this question: what if Russell Westbrook had a jump shot? He'd be Ja Morant. The boy, man, and he's a leader. I think that's probably the most surprising. Like, he's able to lead men.
I think what's impressed me about Ja Morant is, like, I mean, you saw it when he was in college, just that chip on the shoulder, just that fearlessness. Yeah. That's why he's a leader. Like, he always feels like he has something to prove. Like, he went to a small college, felt disrespected by it, felt disrespected in college, felt disrespected that despite leading the NCAA in scoring at like 30 a game.
And assists.
That he wasn't the number 1 pick. And, they took Zion.
Right.
And, I mean, and this is where, like, fuck, man, what is going on with Zion,
and it's like, it's crazy because...
What is going on with Zion? Like, yo, is he just... If he ends up being a bust, bro... He'd have to be the biggest bust in NBA history.
Literally.
I'm there. At this rate, have y'all seen this boy? What? Stop feeding him. What was it? What was it you was telling me?
It's
like,
yo,
they got food.
Charles Barkley just came out that he's going to be doing the rest of his rehab in Portland instead of Louisiana. Yeah, and Charles Barkley came out. Y'all act like he ain't got food in Portland.
That boy eating everything, man. Everything, bro.
I don't know. Maybe it's a deeper problem. It could be something medical. It could be a thyroid issue. Like, it could be any number of things. But Yeah, he's did it. Like I can't wait till the day till he's on the court and able to stay on the court.
Yeah.
Like when he was there, what was he? 27-7, 27-7.
Yeah, he was beasting.
Yeah,
even overweight beasting.
Yeah,
I just want to go back to them young flyer days, man. Like,
yeah,
that Zion, like first couple months of Duke Zion.
yeah.
That was the dude that I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit what Ja Morant's doing. I'm taking that. I'm taking that, human wrecking ball. Like, cause he again at that point, like early in Duke, like before he started putting on weight or whatever's going on with him, it was like, yeah, he looked like LeBron. He could handle the ball. He could shoot enough to make you have to respect it.
Yeah.
Ungodly athleticism,
right?
Court vision. He has a highlight reel alone of just sending shots 1,800 feet into the bleachers. Like, I think he had a shot at Duke that the ball hasn't come down yet. They're still tracking it on NASA and shit. That's what they sent Jeff Bezos up there to try to find. Like, yo, one of your packages ain't got returned yet. And then he just put on weight, and it's like, bro, what are you doing? So, obviously now, the hindsight's 2020. Obviously, you take Ja Morant. But, and that was one of our what-if topics that we discussed maybe going over, which we still might. What if
the Pelicans took Ja?
Yeah, what if the Pelicans took Ja? What if...
They'd be mad,
like, what if the Sixers took Kobe? Because that was what we had talked about. Like, instead of Kobe dropping to 13, because people forget, Kobe Bryant was 13th.
Yeah.
Granted, it was, in my opinion, still the most stacked draft class in NBA history.
Yeah, there was a reason why he went 13th.
Yeah, the only class close to that is like the 03, in my opinion, with like James, Wade, Carmelo.
Bosh.
But even at that, it really trails off. Whereas you look at that 96 draft class, it was AI, Ray Allen, Steve Nash, Marcus Camby, Stephon Marbury.
We got Abdul Rahim.
Abdul Rahim.
Nice.
Like,
Antoine
Walker. So it's like, yeah, there's a reason that Kobe went 13th, scrawny kid coming out of high school. But it's like, in hindsight, yeah, you take that kid now knowing what he grew up to be. With Ja, I don't think it was that hard to see. It wasn't that much of like a diamond in the rough.
It was,
but
to me,
you can't pass up for what was being shown at the time. You cannot pass up on Zion.
I think you can though. I think it's just for as much as people say that the game has changed, nobody's willing to change with it. What I mean by that is, once upon a time, it was a big man's league, right? So that idea, this is why Kobe goes 13th and Marcus Camby and Abdul Rahim and Antoine Walker go for they're bigger. This is why Sam Bowie and Akeem Olajuwon get selected before Michael Jordan. It was like, you want to take, if there is a good big man available, he will always go before the guard.
Yeah.
But today, it's a guard-driven league. So how can you not take the best guard?
I think because at the time, Zion looked like he was supposed to be that hybrid. He was supposed to be like that big, because he's not big height-wise. He's like 6'8", but that's not a center. But again, when he first got into Duke, him coming out of high school, like, no, he was athletic, he was agile, right. He was playing almost exclusively from outside the 3-point line he wasn't doing post moves. He wasn't,
right.
It was in his game for people that want to try to at me and be like, oh yeah, he did, like technically. Like, no, that wasn't his game.
He couldn't post anybody in high school because it didn't make sense.
Didn't matter. It was, and then in Duke, it wasn't the. Well, what I'm saying was like he looked like he was gonna be a LeBron James type, athletic, like just talent wise. Like if you were to compare what he could do on a court to, and I'm not saying that they're comparable. I'm saying like what reminds me of it is like the LeBron James, like the unstoppable freight train of just pure human muscular perfection at the time, just peak physical fitness. I'm coming at you. You can't stop me, but I can also handle the ball. Mm-hmm. I'm big enough to literally body every goddamn person on your team. And I can shoot a little bit. I can pass. It's where it looked like he was going to be that good hybrid. And his jump shot was decent enough. I remember even saying it to you. I'm like, he just needs a little bit of work. That's really all it does. It needs a little bit of work, a little bit of tweaking. And he's done that. You got a fucking Giannis situation. That's what you're looking at. Young Zion, first month of Duke, you're looking at the before Giannis, but you're looking at a Giannis, what Giannis is now. This kid, just get him a little bit of a jumper and he's unstoppable.
But can he be elite? Like it's just the stuff that we don't know yet.
Yeah, and then it was like he put on all that weight, and even at that, he was still averaging 27-7. But it's like, imagine if he was in shape. But it's that problem. Like, again, maybe it is something underlying. Maybe there's something going on. Who knows? But
maybe if you take Ja, maybe you get AD to stay.
Well, let's speak of Ja. Let's speak of Ja real quick. Let's speak of Ja real quick.
That'd be a nasty combo.
Yeah, let's speak of Ja real quick. God damn it. Because we have the NBA All-Star game this upcoming year is obviously going to be in your hometown in Cleveland. And the returns came out, like the All-Star returns, I think it was like this past week. Like not the first, return, second fan returns.
Right.
So we got, obviously, Steph Curry is leading the league in voting. He's at like $4.5 million, followed closely by LeBron. You got KD out the East at, LeBron's at $4.4 million. KD's at 4.1, roughly. I'm rounding up people. And then you got DeMar DeRozan round out the East guards at just shy of $3 million. Ja Morant would be second on that list for West guards. He's actually second. He's ahead of Luka Doncic. He's at 1.6 mil. So it's looking fairly likely that Ja Morant's going to be an All-Star this year. Looking at the rest of the list, who do you think should be on? Who do you definitely think shouldn't be on? Because I have some definitely shouldn't be on. And then
shouldn't be on the list or just shouldn't make it. We'll just see. Because obviously these are going to be the starters if fan voted. So we're saying who should be considered for the reserves.
Who do you think? Let's just go with. I'm gonna go with. Let's go 2 spots each. So a total of 8 players. I want you to pick 2 Western Conference front court and guards, and same for the East. Like, who are the top 2
who
guys?
Should not be on this list?
No, who should be?
Should be on the list. All right.
Because we have some names on here that are on here for legacy reasons. So I'm not going off of who's the vote getters. Like, but obviously when we talked about this before the broadcast, like, for as much as I like the Warriors, I do not at all think Klay Thompson should be on this fucking list, and yet he's 4th in vote getting. So it's like, who, if you were to pick like the top 2, just to keep it simple, like the top 2 front court players, top 2 guards from each conference, that you think are having for like this season, like who do you think are the guys that are having the best?
Yeah, DeMar is deserving of where he is. He's brought some needed experience to that Bulls team, and it's showing because right now they're number 1 seed. Even though they got blasted by the Nets with Kyrie.
Yeah.
But him and the addition of him and Lonzo with Zach LaVine, like they kind of reminding people of that baby Bulls team. Not the D Rose era, but right before that when you had Ben Gordon, Heinrich, and Luol Deng. Kind of reminding people of that team. So I'm gonna say he's deserving, and of the people there, I'm going to go ahead and say Zach LaVine. Just put the backcourt up to like they're literally the reason.
Yeah,
so I don't have an issue with that.
That's I'd have picked both of them. They're the two most deserving guards out of the East.
Zach is probably one of the more exciting guards that's never made an All-Star team, and he's been putting up numbers like the last right. He's been putting up numbers the last 3 seasons, like 25 plus a Minnesota. Why they traded him? I never.
He got hurt.
They should have kept that trio together.
Yeah, he got hurt, and they didn't want to wait it out.
Yeah, look at what they're doing now. Him Wiggins, like what they're doing separate, they could be doing with Cat in Minnesota and your future. Like GMs give up too early, man. From the East front court. As a center,
just front court.
But I gotta be slightly biased. I would say I'm hoping Jared Allen gets in because he's having a super. He's averaging 17 and 11 career highs for him. But again, it's equating to team success.
And the Cavs are I think they're 3rd in the East right now.
They dropped after Rubio got hurt. Now we're like battling for the fifth spot.
That's what Chicago.
But then
Chicago,
I would not have predicted them to be in the top 6 in the East.
Yeah, because it's Chicago, Brooklyn, Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And then
the Heat is up there.
Nah, you guys are ahead of them. I'm pretty sure.
No, we're good. We're behind them. They went on a
Either
little
way.
run.
Either way, y'all are 4th or 5th.
Yeah, we're above the play-in.
Yeah,
which we shouldn't be.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have predicted that.
Right.
So yeah.
And I'd say KD is deserving because James Harden got off to a tremendously slow start this season. You can say he's affected by the rule changes or whatever, but KD has basically carried that team this entire season. And yeah, like Giannis is too easy. He's too easy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Jimmy Butler.
Okay. Jimmy Butler he's having a good year.
Yeah, and he's literally the heart and soul of that team.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, it would be the same. Well, not the same. The guards would be, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan deserve to be all-star starters. Like I don't think that it's close in the East for guards.
Yeah.
I don't think guys like Kyrie Irving should be on the list for the same reason as Klay Thompson. You haven't played all season. It's ridiculous that you're being listed. And as far as the front court, I mean, I'm not going to have a change. It's KD and Giannis.
Fair.
Because it's just, how could it not be?
Yeah, I mean,
I know it's too easy, but it's just, but that's kind of the point because, going out of, the Western Conference, it's like, the two that are off rip, it's like LeBron and Steph. Because how the fuck could it not be? Like, it just it's like, it can be annoying. It's kind of like the Tom Brady made his 17th Pro Bowl. Like, how could he not?
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things. Like, you just have to get used to it. Like, yes, LeBron's going to the All-Star game again. And yes, he's deserving again because, yes, he's still playing great.
Right.
The Lakers are 500 and struggling. A lot of that's being thrown on to Russell Westbrook because I didn't even know this fucking tidbit that the other night was the first game he'd had since he was in Oklahoma City that he hadn't had a turnover. It was like 5 or 6 years or something. I'm like, so for years, you've not had a single game where you haven't turned the ball over at least once.
Yeah.
Like, as a point guard. When did that
become hard to do?
Like,
though.
no, I
mean, not hard to do.
But over the course of years, dude, like years as the primary ball handler. LeBron James has been the primary ball handler in 3 different cities and has gone games with triple doubles without turning the ball over. Like, and granted it made headlines because it came the game after Russell Westbrook put up 9 turnovers. Which was like the 3rd time this season he'd gotten that high. Like it gotten above 7. I'm like, so yeah, there's a lot of shit getting thrown on Russell Westbrook as to why it is that the Lakers might be doing better. But LeBron's LeBroning. And Steph Curry is, leading MVP candidate right now, justifiably so. I mean, he's, I think, 2nd in the league in points.
I think he's dropped down a little bit.
He's at like 26.5 or something.
No, not scoring. I mean, I think he's dropped down off the people's MVP. Not like crazy, like off the list.
Still be like 2nd. Like the only
3-4.
Who would you make an argument to be higher than him? Realistically, like who would be the argument as more deserving of MVP? The only person possible for me, and I want to hear yours. It wasn't a rhetorical. It was Kevin Durant, but I mean, who else?
Yeah, Ja is picking up steam.
So Ja, but he's not supplanting him yet. But yeah, he could pick up steam. You said
it kind of is because
so
he's busted his ass 2 times this year. Giannis is always going to be up there.
Okay, but I'm saying like realistically, like
no, this is realistic from
they're
what
not. They haven't gone above him.
Yeah,
like
in people's opinion.
Because
Steph has been slumping over the last month, pretty much.
Yeah.
For Steph.
Yeah, for Steph, right.
Yeah.
For Steph.
And again, people are. I mean, obviously people are reacting to Kyrie coming back, but Kyrie coming back, I think really put the focus on how much Kevin Durant did when he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that they smacked Chicago by like 90.
It feels like a messy NBA season to me. Like, there's no rhythm to it, if that makes any sense. Like,
I can
there's
understand
teams
that.
going on like massive losing streaks and random winning streaks, and then it's like once a team looks like they're doing really well, they just like have uncharacteristically bad games. I don't think in my life I've seen so many just amazing blowouts.
Yeah.
Like there have been so many 30 and 40 plus point. There was even there were two 50-point blowouts in the NBA this season.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is happening? And it was
our franchise record got beaten.
Yeah. Like, and it's not even like it's always against, these bottom tier teams. Like who the Warriors played tonight.
Oh, the Bulls beat the Bulls by 42.
Yeah, exactly. To my point, the Warriors just lost by like 20 something to the Grizzlies 2 nights ago. Then turn around and beat the number 1 in the Eastern Conference Chicago Bulls by 42.
Yeah,
and it wasn't because Steph Curry went off or Klay Thompson went off. They combined for only 41. Thompson had 22, Curry had 19, and you beat them by 42. And it's like the season's been like that. Like all over the place.
Zach LaVine apparently went down in the first couple minutes of the game.
Yeah.
He could have made that like 24. A 24-point loss.
But even at this, like even the Pistons almost beat the Raptors. The Pistons, who are one of the worst teams in the NBA, I think they're second worst. Only the Orlando Magic are worse.
They're not good.
They got their 10th win tonight by almost 20 points. They've only won 10 games. And they were playing the Raptors, who again are like a would be a playoff team if the playoffs started right now.
Yeah,
and you beat them by. So what's going on with the season?
The Cavs, we set a franchise record. We beat Utah in Utah by 20.
Yeah,
for the first time against franchise was our biggest win in Utah.
It's just it's been a weird season for the NBA. Like it just seems like, and then again, we keep having these COVID outbreaks, across sports. It's been definitely throwing stuff off, and it's throwing us off. And why it was hard for us to make some picks when it came to the NFL was like, shit, we don't know who's gonna be playing. Like,
NBA got hit hard by COVID.
Yeah,
they got. We played the Raptors one game. They literally suited up 8 guys and 1 guy from their regular roster.
Yeah,
literally the rest of the team were G League call ups, and I was like, dude, that's you talk about a competitive event, like that's literally not fair. That game should have been rescheduled.
Yeah, and they did that shit to the Warriors too, because I remember Draymond openly was like angry about it,
right? Because
they had to field a team like that. But then when they were supposed to play this happened like a week or two ago. Mm-hmm. When they were supposed to play somebody, so the Warriors had to suit up without like Curry, whatever else,
right,
and took a loss. But then when they were supposed to play another team, like a few days later, that team had an outbreak. I think it was like the Grizzlies or somebody else or something like that. No, not the Grizzlies. A different team had an outbreak, and they just postponed it.
Right.
And Draymond went on, like, understandably pissed off. Like, yo.
Yeah, you made us play.
Yeah, we lost a game, but you'll let them postpone it. So how the fuck is that fair? That because we have more G League guys ready to go, we still have to, like.
Right.
And it's
just like, I think if you're gonna try and hold players accountable for load management and voluntarily missing games to rest for more important games, as a league, you need to hold yourself accountable for a situation like that. When if I buy a ticket as a fan to come in and find out that I might as well go watch the Canton Charge or the Scranton Kings.
It's like, hey, I just spent $200 on these tickets.
Right.
Whereas to go and watch the G League team, it's like $5 with
my
local ID.
Bro, I could have went and watched UNLV. And been more entertained. Like, you have to hold yourself accountable as a league for that same thing.
Yeah.
That's one end. David Silver,
Adam
Silver. Davis. He hasn't made many mistakes as the commissioner. But I think he needs to take a closer look at that.
I just think that so much of this shit's a mess that we just need to.
It is.
And I don't want to get into any. And it's stupid that we've talked about it, that something like vaccines or whatever else is so politicized and it shouldn't be at this point, and it's like causing unnecessary conflict. Even with the whole Djokovic shit, and we were talking about at the top of the show. It's like, when I'm seeing it in the NBA and I'm seeing it in the NFL, I'm like, how is this making sense? Like, this is not good for anybody.
Yeah.
Like, but that's a mess that I'm not getting paid to figure out. Unfortunately, we are not getting paid to figure that out. What we are doing is, just talking about our opinions on these sports, and we're happy that y'all are tuning in to hang out with us and spend some time with us. Do you have any more things you want to cover real quick?
Yeah, I'll comment on that. Quick rant on that, 'cause we talked about it pre-hand. The Nets are stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Are stupid.
Yeah, elaborate on that for the people, man.
People have since, about a month and a half before the season started, have been going on these things with Kyrie Irving coming out and making a statement that basically he's not going to get the vaccine. With that, New York state law requiring you to be vaccinated in order to play games in that arena if you're a member of the Nets or the Knicks. Yeah. That's what I thought it was. Kyrie took his stance. He could play in away games. He couldn't play in home games. The Nets said, we're good. Don't play at all. Stay home. Only to find out today, Friday, January 14th, that the actual law in New York is if you do have a player on your roster who's not vaccinated on the Knicks or the Nets, they can play at home. You just have to pay a fine. So you telling me, this whole freaking thing, when Kyrie could have been playing since day one, you just had to pay a fine? Mm-hmm. Your payroll is $400 million. Your team value is over $2 billion. And you can't pay $200,000 for what the season, because it's $1,000 and it caps off at $5,000. Yeah. Apparently, per game. So 40K was like $200,000 right there, plus a potential let's give you home court throughout the playoffs. 4, 8, 16 home games. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. 4 in each round. 16 home games is another $125,000. If not, they ain't even that. That's like 75 grand. 80. $300,000 for this dude to play and you to win the championship, and the fans be happy because they get what they paid for, which is to see this big three in their prime play basketball. And you cheap fucks couldn't just pay it so you could play and it not even be a thing. Because the only reason it's a big thing is because everybody's talking about it. Where if you just pay it, nobody's talking about it.
In fact, to your point, but even deeper into that, if y'all motherfuckers knew that shit the whole time, it never even needed to be brought up. You could have just done this shit on the low, like
exactly. Because nobody's talking about Bradley Beal.
You could have been like, yo, just send me the fucking check. Yes. Just send me the check.
Exactly. Nobody's talking about Bradley Beal because he's not vaccinated.
Probably what the Wizards did. Yo, just send us a check. Like we know, but we need him to play, so we'll take the fine.
Yeah, we talked about Aaron Rodgers lying about it for what, a week and a half, and then it was. But we've been talking about Kyrie Irving for 6 months just because y'all won't let him play when y'all could have let him play, and it's just been a non-issue.
And even that part, man. I mean, and this is where again, not wanting to bring no politics into it, but just where I understand everybody's fucking exhausted of this shit. I think. Again, not taking either side of the equation, as my side, but just understanding that like the exhaustion people feel with this shit. Yeah. Because I'm like, okay, so what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Because I remember 2 years ago when y'all shut all this, and I know we have more information now. When we shut all this shit down, is that we were afraid being around, you're gonna die. Yeah. Now it's like, oh, well, it's just a fine. It wasn't just a fine before. It was like, yo, this is life or death shit. Yeah. And I'm like, so if we're at the point now where we can monetize your sickness, so to speak, like it's not monetizing your death anymore. It's like we're monetizing your sickness. Like we can put a number value on you getting sick. Yeah. Then at that point, then it's like, why the fuck are we still doing all this other shit? Why are we? You've talked about it. We've talked about it. I've seen the countless memes of it. Of like, oh, let's stay 6 feet apart for this interview. Then the second the interview's done, we fucking hug. And it's like, then what are we doing? Oh, let me wear my mask into a restaurant and then take it off the entire time I'm eating. Oh, I'm eating. So again, as we talked about the droplets and all, and I'm talking and I'm laughing, and I'm doing all this, but then I'm gonna put the mask back on as I just walk out.
Take it to another
So
level.
what is the doorway the only thing fucking protected? Like it's
let's play this whole game, get all grimy and sweaty, and then swap jerseys,
bro. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like when I've seen the dudes like on the sideline. The guys, the bench players, why are you wearing a mask? Or you come out of the game after you was just, football. You just, hitting somebody and spitting on them and getting blood and shit. It's football. Fuck basketball. Let's talk football. You have blood getting on people. Like, blood. Fuck your snot. If that can pass it, I'm pretty sure your blood is a hell of a lot stronger at getting this virus into me. And yet it's like, oh, but then we get off the field and now I put a face mask on, but then only occasionally because then I pull it down to talk to you because you can't fucking hear me when I have it. And it's like, what are we doing?
And after the game, I take my sweaty glove and throw it up to some lucky kid to take home to...
Yeah, and that part. That we're letting, like Jalen Hurts when he almost got hit by the stands. He was literally throwing... Like like what are we doing? And this ain't even about. Like, it's about sports. It's just people as a world. What are we doing? Like what are we doing? Because you've heard me. I've ranted on here about being vaccinated because I'm like I did this shit because I was promised certain things. I was promised I could stop wearing this fucking mask. I was promised I could just walk around like a normal person again. And breathe air and like go safely to see people. And wrong? Like
you can go see people.
Yeah, but it's you know what I mean. Like
getting there is
so frustrating. It just doesn't seem like anything is adding up.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping that the world can get some clarity. Like I hope the Broncos get some clarity. That's how I'm gonna tie it back into sports.
Just don't be like Djokovic.
Just don't be like Djokovic. Call back. Perfect way to wrap it up. People, if there's one thing we want to say on our first episode back, there's nothing else you take away from this. Don't be like Novak Djokovic.
Yeah.
And what we mean by that is don't be an asshole. Just read. You don't even have to hear us. If you missed the first part of this, or if you didn't hear that, you skip past Djokovic. Just read any article about what's going on with him. Just don't be an asshole. Just don't be like him. And hopefully we'll be better. But
words of Jerry Springer: be kind to yourself and each other.
And each other. I'm not even gonna say the fucking Ellen DeGeneres one because apparently that was a lie the whole time. All her shit, she was always like, "Be kind and be nice." Well, like the second the cameras turn off, she's like beating people and berating them and the most toxic work environment since EA. I don't know if that's even possible. EA is the most hated company. Literally, that's not an opinion. The most hated company in the world to work for. Next to Ellen DeGeneres' show. Anyway, on that note, we do mean it. We do mean it to y'all. Please be kind to one another. We're so happy to be back talking to y'all. We want to have fun. We want to laugh, enjoy sports, something that hopefully makes a little bit more sense than everything else. At least we still got the X's and O's and all of that, and we love to bring them to you in our opinions. And thank y'all for rocking with us. Yeah. Sorry for the hiatus.
Yeah. But stay tuned. We got a lot coming for you this year. We got some interviews coming this year. A lot of different content. We'll be doing Next Man Up on the Street once the weather breaks. A lot of new exciting content. I hope you guys like and enjoy.
And we will be at training camp for the Raiders this year, as well as seeing what other spring training we can try to get around to for baseball, because that tends to be more exciting at times than the fucking season. So we'll be out. We're gonna be coming to y'all with a lot of different content, as he said. It's gonna be a lot of stuff. That's part of what we were taking off the past few weeks for us. We kind of led into a little bit earlier. We want to make sure that we bring you out the content that we enjoy, that we hope that y'all enjoy, and nothing less than that. So we're gonna be bringing y'all a lot of stuff, talking about a lot of different things as we're moving forward. Thank y'all for coming back. Thank y'all for being with us from day one, and hopefully you'll always be with us as we keep moving forward and evolving and learning as we're going, right?
Hoorah.
Again, my name is Shaka. It's my man Bobby G. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button. Make sure you turn on the notifications. That way you get to know anytime and every time that we have a new video, new content coming out. Because again, we will be dropping a bunch as this year goes along. You're not going to want to miss any of it. So thank y'all for tuning in. It's been the Next Man Up Sports Podcast. Welcome back. We'll see y'all next time. Let's get them out of here.
Peace.